So now that we've talked about hydrogen bonds, we can talk about the many different physical and chemical characteristics of water that make it so important to life. Hydrogen bonds among water molecules cause cohesion, and that's where molecules of a single type tend to stick together. So water molecules stick to each other. That produces surface tension. So that would allow for something like a water strider bug to skate across a surface or body of water. It would allow something like the basilisk lizard to run across water. Because of these hydrogen bonds creating a surface tension, there is a little bit of support for those insects and for that amphibian. Now, something like adhesion is when molecules of a different type tend to stick together. So, if water exhibits adhesion, it not only sticks to itself, it sticks to other things, like water droplets sticking to a spider's web and then sticking to each other using cohesion, and those water droplets growing. Water also has other characteristics because of hydrogen bonding. It helps moderate the effects of temperature. It has a high specific heat. So, a lot of heat has to be put into water or a certain amount of water to break the hydrogen bonds holding it together. To excite these hydrogen molecules and turn water from a liquid to a gas takes a lot of heat. So, when that water does actually evaporate, it takes a lot of heat with it. So, not only is specific heat going to mean that water resists temperature change, but it also means that water is going to be a great cooling system for the body. We can also look at water based solutions and how, while pure water itself, is neutral, if we change it just a little bit and we add either more hydrogen or more hydroxyl ions, we can make something acidic or basic. Pure water actually contains equal concentrations of OH negative, a hydroxide ion, or H plus, a hydrogen ion. And that would be neutral if we have an equal amount of those positive and negative charges, which do sometimes separate out in pure water. Not all the molecules are together as H2O. But when a substance is added to water and it releases hydroxide or hydrogen ions, that actually makes the solution no longer have an equal concentration of those two ions. So that might make it more acidic or more basic. So here's that equation. Again, in pure water, think of a beaker of pure water or water bottle of pure water, whatever you want. Most of the water is going to be in the form of H2O, but some of it separates out into OH negative and H plus or H positive. OH negative is considered a hydroxyl or hydroxide ion, and H plus is a hydrogen ion. As long as you have an equal amount of those two ions, you're still looking at a neutral substance, at least neutral in pH. It's not acidic and it's not basic. But when it comes to something being acidic or basic, they have more or less hydrogen ions. So if you have more hydrogen ions than hydroxide ions, you're looking at an acid. Acids release hydrogen ions when dissolved in water, which is why you would have more of them than hydroxide ions. Hydrochloric acid is a great example of a strong acid that ionizes in water to release hydrogen ions and a chloride anion. So again, what we're looking at with acids is a high amount of hydrogen in their ion form. Lemon juice, vinegar, those are both examples. And acids tend to have a sour taste. If you've had citrus fruit, you've tasted that kind of tart sourness. Acids also can be corrosive or poisonous. They're not all edible. We could also use acids to neutralize bases and affect the color of certain indicators. Now, on the other hand, we have solutions that are basic. They have less hydrogen ions than hydroxide ions. So a base actually, when we see it combine with hydrogen, tends to tie it up. A strong base, sodium hydroxide, actually releases hydroxide ions when ionized. So sodium hydroxide breaks down into the cation sodium and the hydroxide ion that has a negative charge. So when you have less hydrogen ions, or the hydroxide ion concentration is much more than the hydrogen ion concentration in solution, you're looking at a base. Another name for a base is something that is alkaline. Baking soda, chlorine, bleach, ammonia, a lot of cleaning products are basic. And bases have a bitter taste and feel slippery. Again, a lot of them are cleaning products. They might be corrosive or poisonous. They can neutralize acids. And just like acids, they can affect the color of certain indicators. And how we measure the number of hydrogen ions is with the pH scale. The H in pH stands for hydrogen ion concentration. If it's below 7, The pH is saying that, oh, we have more hydrogen ions than hydroxide. So this substance is a little bit more acidic. If it is above 7, we're saying that we don't have as many hydrogen ions, we have a lot more hydroxide ions. So this substance is a little basic. You could compare something of a pH of 8 and a pH of 14, and you could say something with a pH of 8 is more acidic than something with a pH of 14, but overall they're both on the basic side of the scale. The scale is also logarithmic, so something that is a pH of 2 is 10 times more acidic than something that has a pH of 3. Here you can see common household items or things that you might be familiar with and where they fall on the scale. For example, blood is slightly alkaline or basic. Something like citrus fruits or juice from a lemon is actually really close to the pH of stomach acid, only about a zero point 0.3 difference. But many antacids and cleaning products tend to be further on that basic side. The scale itself goes from 0 to 14, with 7 being neutral, and pure water is a great example of something that is a neutral or has a pH 7. And then, last but not least, we're going to be looking at a buffer. A buffer is a molecule or chemical equation that helps maintain nearly constant pH of a solution. It basically resists large swings in pH. It could accept hydrogen ions or bind up hydrogen ions or produce hydroxide ions. It really helps produce what we need to balance out pH. So, with excess hydrogen ions, a buffer would combine hydrogen ions with something else because it's only free hydrogen that dictates acidic or basic. With excess hydroxide ions, a buffer would release hydrogen ions to help neutralize those. And we actually have a buffer system within the human body called the bicarbonate buffer system, and that is actually found in our blood. There's others as well, but you do need to know the definition of a buffer. A molecule that helps resist large swings in pH basically keeps the pH of a substance relatively constant. So that's it for Lab 2. Make sure to review all the videos.